In this video, you're going to see the serious trouble people are in regarding the housing market, but I'm going to show you how to avoid all of that coming up. Stay tuned. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your #1 real estate resource here in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey guys, a couple of quick things before we dive into the video. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn the cold hard facts about the Las Vegas real estate market and real estate in general, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Number 2, also make sure to give me a thumbs up like, guys. That would really help the channel out. And number 3, if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, whether it's next month or next year, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home when that time is right for you. Let's dive into the video. So there are millions of people that want the American dream of homeownership, but with homeownership comes serious trouble, especially in today's market. And in the next segment, I'm going to show you what the Fed is doing regarding interest rates and how they're creating a lose-lose situation. And then the following segments after that is going to prove to you guys why waiting through the rest of this year is the wise option if you're thinking about buying a home. All right, so let's take a look at this graphic right next to me regarding the Fed and interest rates. I broke this down into 2 categories, raising rates on the left and lowering rates on the right. Now, on the left side, raising rates, the Fed has been doing that over the course of the last year, trying to get consumer spending to come down, which has happened somewhat, but not that much. But ultimately, what that's going to do is it's going to cause a recession, especially in my opinion, as we get later into the year. On the right side, a couple of years ago, the Fed was lowering rates, which really jumped up consumer spending, and that's why prices skyrocketed and we had hyperinflation. This is a lose-lose scenario that the Fed has painted themselves into a corner. It's a very tricky situation. I think we're not going to come out unscathed, especially as we go through the end of this year, because they are going to raise rates. They are most likely going to cause a recession, and in the upcoming segments, I want you guys to take a look at that specifically regarding the housing market and why you should be patient right now. All right, so let's take a look at this first article that just came out last week from Business Insider. I wanted you to see this article first because this ties in to the previous segment regarding the Fed and inflation. Take a look at that headline where it says inflation isn't returning to 2% this year or next, suggesting investors should prepare for more interest rate hikes. If we scroll down here a little bit just to look at these 2 bullet points, it says the U.S. won't return to 2% inflation until at least 2025. And then the second one says, this suggests the central bank's fight against inflation is far from over, underscoring the possibility of more interest rate hikes. That means the Fed still has not gotten down to the 2% number that they want to, so they have to keep raising rates. That means the probability of them raising rates this month and potentially in September is very high. And when that happens, especially as we get to the fall and the winter, that's where I think we're going to see an economic shift and prices are going to start to come down on homes. All right, now let's take a look at the 30-year fixed rate mortgage because a lot of people think that we're hovering right around 7%, but that's really not the true number. Take a look here. I've shown this to you guys before. I want you to see the current numbers here based on at the end of June here. You can see right next to that little blue dot, 30-year fixed, 7.9%. 15-year fix is about 6.8%. Now that's the aggregate number. So most people are at the 30-year fixed level. So you're looking not at 7%, but most likely closer to 8% because when you see right above here, the credit score aggregate right here, they have as 7 to 719. So obviously there's lower scores and there's higher scores, but the aggregate is 7 to 719. If you have that credit score, you're basically at about 8%. The APR number actually is a little bit higher. I just had a client talk to me. They're at about 8.25. So the rates are not 6.9 or 7%. They're really in the low 8s. And that's the problem for most people. These rates are going higher, likely in the fall when we get up to probably 8.5 or 9%. And again, that's when I think there's going to be a big shift because people are not going to be able to afford to pay for homes when they're paying 8.5 or 9% mortgage rates. All right, so let's take a look at this mortgage calculator because this is really where the rubber meets the road, showing what the true costs are for people on a monthly basis for an average price point home. I'm going to show you 2 examples here. I'm going to show you the 15-year fixed rate and the 30-year fixed rate. So let's do this. On the upper left right here, I have a home price of $400,000. That's about the average price point in the U.S. Down payment, $40,000. Again, that's about the average down payment. And then the mortgage rate here is about 8%, like I said in the previous segment. That's the aggregate number right now. Right down here, 30-year fixed rate. I'm going to show you the 30-year fixed right now. Take a look inside that green and yellow circle. $3,575 is your total monthly payment. Now, if you use a typical debt to income ratio scenario, it's about 30% of your gross income. So 30% of about $3,600, you need to be making about $12,000 a month or $150,000 a year approximately to afford just the average price point. That's where everything is really out of whack, because think about it. The average US household income is half that. It's about $75,000. So this is why things are completely out of control in terms of home prices, because people cannot afford not only a $400,000 home price, but they can't afford these high interest rates. Now let's take a look at the 15-year fixed rate, because I want to show you the price differential on that, and then I'm going to show you the total differences in interest. All right, so now this is the 15-year fixed rate. Take a look down in the bottom left. Everything is the same, but I put 15-year fixed right there in the bottom left. Now take a look inside that green circle there. The payment has now gone up to $4,359 a month for a $360,000 mortgage. Now, obviously it's higher than the last one, because when you go to a 15-year rate, the 30-year rate's going to give you a lower payment, the 15-year rate's going to give you a higher payment. This is about $800 higher than the 30-year fixed rate. But again, I want to show you guys these two examples, because in the next segment, I'm going to show you the massive difference in interest that you're going to pay on this kind of a loan between the 15-year and the 30-year. So let's take a look at that right now. All right, so now let's take a look at this calculator. This is the 15-year versus the 30-year mortgage calculator. Now, I have not shown this to you guys before, but this is really shocking, and I want you guys to take a look at this, because if you have the ability to ever afford a 15-year versus a 30-year, even though the payment is higher, like I said in the previous segment, it's going to save you an enormous amount of interest on the loan. So let's do this. Same price point here, $400,000. Down payment, same number, $40,000, so it's a 10% down payment. Now here on the 15-year, I put 7% because it's a little bit lower interest rate, and the 30-year I have at 8%. So now let's take a look at the loan summary. On the 15-year, your principal and interest only is $3,236 a month. On the 30-year, it's $2,642. So there's about a $600 difference between the two. That's why most people get a 30-year loan, because it's a lower monthly payment. But look at what you're paying for a $400,000 home over 30 years. You're paying almost $1 million. On the 15-year, you're paying just over $600,000. That's why interest rates, if you can get to a 15-year, that's always going to be a better option. But again, because rates are so high right now, take a look at the total cost you have to pay just for a $400,000 home. It's outrageous. That's why I've been telling people to sit on the sidelines and hope and pray that at least if interest rates don't come down, we have to see home prices come down so that this is not so out of whack. All right, so now let's drill down specifically into my neck of the woods here in Las Vegas. I want you guys to take a look at this chart. This is the house payment as a percentage of median income. And what that basically means is how much of people's gross income is going towards housing expenses. So let's take a look at this chart. It goes back about 20 years, but I want you to look right there where I'm moving the arrow. This was the peak of the last real estate bubble in 2006. This says about 50%. That means back in 2006, people in Las Vegas were using about half of their gross income to afford a home. Then the market fell off a cliff. It took about 6 years to 2012, and then people only needed to use about 12% of their gross income to afford a home. Now the prices have started to go up over the years. You can see kind of staggering here. And then right at the peak of the pandemic, we were at about 22%, and then it just spiked all the way up to 43%. That means people specifically here in Las Vegas to afford a home have to use 43% of their gross income. That is the sad new reality. It's unfortunate, and that's why I've been advocating for people to not buy a home right this minute. If you can wait for prices to come down, because I don't think interest rates are coming down anytime soon, if you can wait for prices to come down, that's the better option. I'm going to show you in the next segment too what's happened with Las Vegas home prices over this same chart period, and you're going to see why it's best to wait things out right now. All right, so let's take a look at this home value chart over the last 20 or so years here in Las Vegas, because this is a good indicator to show not only where prices have been, but where I think they're going. If we go back over here on the left side of the chart, back in 2000, the average home price in Las Vegas was $164,000. It took 6 years to hit the peak level in 2006 at $350,000. Then it took another 6 years down here on that massive real estate collapse. It went down to $127,000. And then over the last 10 years, it's been a slow, steady climb up, and then it really spiked here at the peak of the pandemic. We're at about $424, although right now we're at about $440 for an average price point. Now, this doesn't mean history is going to repeat itself, because right here, obviously, we see this collapse after that peak going all the way down here. But take a look at how high this level has gone up, and now we're first starting to see some signs of weakness. Does that mean we're going to go back all the way down to 2012 prices? No, I don't think that's ever going to happen. But we have more potential downside here than upside, just based on the history here over the last 20 years in Las Vegas. So now I want to show you a few specific examples in the new home construction category here in Las Vegas, because a lot of people are interested in new construction. There's a lot of builders building new homes here all across the Las Vegas Valley. And this is where I think there's a lot of trouble for these builders still to come. Take a look at this website right here. This is from Pulte Homes. They're building some beautiful homes here. I'm going to show you some more expensive homes first and then some lower price points here, but take a look at those little red markings there on the website for each of these homes. That's the savings right now, which means they've reduced these home prices. $110,000 on this one, $110,000 on this one. If we scroll down a little bit deeper here, this one is $110,000. This one is $313,000. Now these are more expensive homes, obviously. These are in the $1.2 to $1.4 million category. But when you see in the next segment here in the lower price points, they're still offering reduction, which to me tells the tale that these home builders are not getting the prices that they want because the market is softening. And I think it's going to soften even more, especially as we go through the rest of the year. All right, so now let's take a look at the same home builder here, different communities, half the price of what I just showed you. Take a look at the savings here in these little red bars at the top right. This home, $27,000 in savings. This home, $100,000 in savings. Now you can see the price points here. This is $500,000 now. This is $600,000. If we scroll down here, take a look at one more example here. This home, $194,000 in savings. It used to be $833,000. It's now $639,000. That does not mean every single home that this builder is offering these kind of reduced prices, but there are deals to be had out there if you are looking at buying homes, especially in the new construction category. Do I think you should be doing that right now? No, because I think the deals are probably going to get even better. But again, this is a telltale sign that the market is softening and that you're going to get better deals likely later this year. So after seeing all of that data, home ownership at this stage spells big trouble for most people. You saw how high those mortgage payments are, how much interest you're going to be paying on the loans. Even if you can afford to buy right now, now is not the ideal time to buy during this popular spring-summer buying season. Historically speaking, the better time to buy any home is in the December through February time period. So again, that's why I'm saying and advocating waiting to the end of the year into the early part of 2024 is the better option. Right now, the best thing you can do is save for a down payment, try to get your FICO score up, try to eliminate your debt, and definitely be patient. So before we end today's video, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite comment from last week's video, and that goes to Mark. Now you can see his comments here on screen that I'm just going to summarize. It's not so much my favorite comment, it's the one that really shocked me the most out of hundreds. He's pretty much trying to buy a $300,000 home in the Las Vegas area, and he just can't do it because there's multiple offers on all these homes that he's looking at, and now he's relegated to renting. This is exactly what happened last summer. This popular spring-summer buying season, everyone's buying. There's bidding wars going on, especially in a popular place like Las Vegas. But all of that cooled down at the end of the year. So again, that's why I keep advocating when we get to the holiday time period, that's the better time to start looking for homes. And I think that same thing is going to happen again this year. And just remember, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to leave me a cool or creative comment down below. And of course, like the video as well. And my favorite comment from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct shout out to in next week's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I also hope you appreciate my transparency. Like I've said before, I'm always going to keep it 100% real on this channel regarding the overall real estate market with specific emphasis here in Las Vegas. So like I've been advocating in my previous videos, guys, now is not the ideal time to buy. This is the popular spring-summer buying season. Don't buy into the hype if you don't have to. Sit tight closer towards the end of the year. I think prices are going to come down, especially if the Fed raises rates. That's the better time of year always to buy a home. If you are thinking about buying a home in Las Vegas, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I know every inch of this city. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. When the time is right, not right now, but when the time is right and you're thinking about buying a home in Las Vegas, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you guys in the next video.